Thank you for being here, everyone. Looks like we have critical mass. So good evening. Welcome. My name is Gerardo Dexter Cyprian. I use he and they pronouns. I'm a brown man in my late 30s. I have a mustache. I have black hair in a bun. I have gold earrings and a denim shirt with floral prints. Thank you for being here and welcome to the third annual Nursing Home Lives Matter Vigil to commemorate the loss and ongoing struggle of long-term care residents to be treated with dignity and respect. First, I want to take a moment to honor and acknowledge that we sit in the stolen ancestral land of the Wappinger, Schaghticoke, and Munsee Lenape people, whose stewardship of this land has made possible for us to be here today. The histories of dispossession and settler colonialism is not something of the past, but still felt today and not separate from our calls for justice today. Secondly, a little bit of housekeeping. The event today will go on until about 7:30. We'll try our best to stay on schedule, but things may go a little bit over. Just giving you a note, we'd love if you can stay for the entirety of the evening, but if you have to leave a little bit earlier, we understand. Another thing is that we will be recording today's gathering. We're actually recording right now, just so you know. We also ask that today's guests respect your time limit and speak slowly and clearly for our captioner. We would also like folks to share a brief visual description when invited to speak, just like I did a second ago. And just a short accessibility check, if you have any tech issues or wanna ask a question to anyone, Alex, Miko Cook, and David are available to answer any questions along. All right, so let's get started. Last week, we lost a hero, an incredible human who left the world better than she came into it. Judy Heumann was an unrelenting and unyielding disability rights activist that's left a mark in all of us. I didn't know her personally, but even from afar, I was struck by her insistence on demanding from all of us to do better by ourselves and our neighbors, and for her ability to summon that from people around her with brightness and joy. As I learned the news of Judy Heumann's passing and reading about her incredible life, I came across this quote by her. When other people see you as third-class citizens, the first thing you need is a belief in yourself and the knowledge that you have rights. The next thing you need is a group of friends to fight back with. So today I speak to you, yes, as an advocate, a citizen, a community member, but most importantly, I speak to you as a friend who 3 years ago, almost to the day, walked into the doors of Kohler Nursing Home in Roosevelt Island, like I'd had many times before, not knowing that it would be the last time I would see my friends in person for what seemed like an eternity. And from that day, I witnessed the start of 2 pandemics. For while this virus wreaked havoc indiscriminately across the country and across the world, the reality of it was not felt the same across all of us. If you were able-bodied or of a certain age without pre-existing conditions, or you were experiencing one pandemic, which was bad enough. Indeed, it was deadly. But if you have a disability, a pre-existing condition, or were an elder in your community, living in a nursing home or another long-term care facility, or incarcerated, you're experiencing and are likely still experiencing a very different pandemic, one that's deadlier, more callous, and in many ways, heartbreakingly avoidable. So tonight we're making space to hold all of it, the anger, the sorrow, the grief, as well as the possibility of repair, accountability, joy, solidarity, and power in community. The theme of our evening today is dedicated love and dedicated action. I love this theme so much. To me, it brings to mind the words of Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic." Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power connecting everything that stands against love. Today, we'll hear from organizers, spiritual leaders, community members and allies, elected officials, artists, and poets. I want to take a moment to thank all of our speakers and everyone who's made this.
Lost audio.
You're muted, Dex.
Can't
I'm
hear
sorry,
you.
y'all. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, gonna back up a little bit. So I'm not sure where I got cut off, but the theme of tonight is dedicated love, dedicated action. I really love this theme. To me, it brings to mind the words of Martin Luther King Jr. when he said, "Power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love." Today, we'll hear from organizers, spiritual leaders, community members and allies, elected officials, artists, and poets. I want to take a moment to thank all of our speakers and everyone who's made tonight possible. There are so many names that if I start, I'm afraid I'll take up the rest of the evening, but you know who you are. Those who did the unsexy work of putting together emails, spreadsheets, timelines, those who wrote poems and made music, those who showed up to lend their voices, and those who bore witness. So many unsung heroes. Know that tonight we sing to you. I see you, I hear you, and I'm eternally grateful for you. So with that, I will pass the mic. So please join me in welcoming Nursing Home Lives Matter founder and Open Doors co-director, Vincent Pierce. Vince?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. First off, my name is Vince. For visual description, I'm a black male sitting in a wheelchair with a black and red Chicago Bulls fitted with a black and red jacket. And today, let me read this poem to you guys. If I can use just my 5 senses and imagine what living in a nursing home should look like, should sound like, should smell like, and what I'm being fed should taste like, I will tell you what it should be is not quite what it is. But together, Nursing Home Lives Matter can and will make a change. When you think of nursing homes, you would normally think of the elderly. You're right. But do you know there are so many voices of all ages behind those walls that scream out for help and don't get heard or just get ignored? But we have to keep screaming louder and louder until they realize we are not just something you purchase and expect a profit. We are human beings just like themselves, and we deserve to live in a home-like environment and not surrounded by incarcerated rules. And if I only just had 4 out of 5 of my senses to navigate, I would want to feel love. Here, hi, can I help you? So I can familiarize the sweet, kind voices as I'm touched while I'm guided through the freshly smelled hallways. I can also feel the dedicated love through the energy of your warm hands. Let's come together, make nursing homes what they should be, a home away from home, because nursing home lives do matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Let's give it up for Vince. Yeah, you can show your love however way you can. You can snap your fingers, put in the chat, just move your body. Thank you so much, Vince. All right. Well, to set the tone for the evening, we're gonna hear from some spiritual leaders tonight. So please thank you, Vince, and please join me in welcoming Imam Russell, who serves the residents of Calder Nursing Home and who has stood with us throughout this journey. Imam Russell.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. First and foremost, we send prayers, we send thanks to Allah and the creator of the worlds. And we send peace and prayer upon the Prophet Muhammad and all that we have lost, as well as all that are still around and are present in our lives. Can everybody hear me correctly?
Yes.
Okay. As the brother Ben mentioned, I am the chaplain at Cola Hospital, as well as I am a member of the New York State Chaplain Task Force, Emergency Task Force. And being at Cola has been a great blessing, as well as we came across many rocky roads. And this reminds me of the statement of Allah in the Quran, where he says, do you think you will not be tested because you say you believe in Allah? Do you think you will not be tested because you merely believe in Allah? It shows that life is about tests and life is about experiences. And when you endure or come in contact with those tests from Allah or God, the Creator, then you will get the true understanding of what life has to offer. And this is not something I can express to some of the residents at the hospital and some of the visitors here on this Zoom meeting, because they may know that experience more than I do. They may know that experience more than I do. As the chaplain and imam at Cola, we lost many of our congregants during COVID. So we have been directly affected by the loss of the pandemic. Roy, Saluk, Lucky are all just familiar names and faces that are no longer with us due to the pandemic. But it is with the wisdom of the Creator that we understand, like Allah says, Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut, that surely every soul will have a taste of death. So this taste that we will endure in this life, it is not a punishment, but it is a testimony to our transition to the next life. How it happened, by which way, by which type of departure is all in the hands of the Creator. We are just left with the testimony of our experiences with that person or those people prior to them departing. And with that, we are challenged with understanding the wisdom of Allah's decree while holding on to those memories. And there are many memories I can go on to mention by leading the prayers and by counsel and by visiting Cola and exiting Cola and seeing some of the faces that we have seen some of the faces that we will no longer see in this life. And with that, we ask Allah for His deep compassion and mercy upon all of us while we are experiencing the next few days of our lives or the years of our lives, as we will also transition, or we will transition with the testimony that the Creator knows best. And I will, I believe, hand it back to Alex.
You.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Imam Russell. Thank you so much. I know how much your service means so much to the residents of Cola, and it means a lot for you to be here today.
Thank you.
Now, I'd like to bring up a friend and a member of the community, Pastor Amanda Sadler, who lives the Mosaics Church on Roosevelt Island. I wrote her an email years ago for the first vigil, and she immediately jumped to the opportunity and met us. And I'm really grateful that you showed up then and that you're showing up now. So thank you so much, Pastor, and I'll pass the mic to you.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here. I am a white woman with dark curly hair, wearing gold earrings, a gold necklace, and a black hoodie under a black blazer. And I think it is important, which has already been said, that we acknowledge the tension of grief and lament and our sadness over what has happened, while at the same time looking for hope and encouragement and a way forward. And so I always like to borrow words from people who say things better than I do. And so I have a prayer that I would like to read to begin this evening from Reverend Sandra Maria Van Opstal, and it is a liturgy of longing. She says, "How long, Lord? How long must we cry out? How long must the vulnerable sit silent as bombs, guns, cages, natural disasters threaten lives? How long must we hear the agonizing silence of so many in the church? How long, Lord? Are you listening? Yes, you do. You do? You do see us. You do hear us. We believe you are at work bringing peace, true peace, flourishing, wholeness, and well-being. We hear your words of truth and know in our minds that you are Lord, God of gods, the Lord of lords, the great God, mighty and awesome. You show no partiality. You defend the cause of the fatherless, motherless, and the widow. You love the stranger. We believe and we feel overwhelmed. Sometimes it is hard to believe that you actually care about the injustice and suffering when we don't see your work, when we sense the apathy from the church, when we feel small and forget that we are designed to be different and make things different. When we feel overwhelmed by darkness in the world, the violence, injustice, poverty, oppression, abuse, give us hope not to be overcome. Give us eyes to see your goodness for our world. Give us the strength to hold the pain of injustice in our world and faith that it will end. Give us courage to be honest with ourselves about why and how we are doing justice. We believe, so empower us to disrupt our broken thinking by learning truth from diverse leaders. Enable us to discover the beauty of justice and inspire action in others. Embolden us to display your goodness in the world. Sisters and brothers, let us walk in solidarity and mutuality, not ignoring distinctives, but embracing them. Not loving beyond our differences, but loving because of our differences. Recognizing that differences can inform and transform us. Inviting each of our narratives to contribute to what can be. Call us repairer of broken walls and restorer of streets with dwellings. Help us to live justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with you, God. Empower us to let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never failing stream. What does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. That's from Micah 6:8. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor. That was really powerful. Thank you. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Imam, as well. So now we'll be moving on to the mourning and remembrance portion of tonight's event. Please join me in welcoming my dear friend and colleague, Elle, who will read the names of those we've lost and remember today. Elle?
Hello, how's everybody doing tonight? My name is Al. I'm a black male with a bald head, and also have a beard and a black hooded sweatshirt that has white lettering that says Nursing Homes Lives Matter. Tonight I'll be reading the deceased and those who have passed on. Harrison Furlington loved to be outside by the water, and once that was taken from him, he fell into a deep depression. He was a very kind and respectful to the staff and always thoughtful to his family. Roy Watson, powerfully, shared his story to steer kids away from drugs, saying with a tear in his eye, "I've never been a good example of what to do, but I am a damn good example of what not to be." Malika Disler never had so much to say with words, but spoke volumes with her actions. She was a gentle and kind person. Carrie Villamaria was a good nurse and knowing her made me respect and accept people in the gay community. Lucky Victorine always had a joke to tell. Jack was a quiet guy who would sit by himself and watch TV. Ronald Crawford was a good roommate. Anthony White always was reading his Bible. Marion Robin was full of life. Eve Williams liked to hang out with the guys. Cynthia Beths always said hi and how you doing. Maria Sarkoff enjoyed chatting with others and residents in the day room. Paul Horton always spoke his mind no matter what he was talking about or to. He loved his family. Kenny York was a talented piano player and very proud of his children. Richie loved his cappuccinos all the time. Richie Coleman was a good friend and supporter of Open Doors. He was never too busy to help. He was never too busy to help anyone. He loved playing spades and watching the Mets. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, Al. And to honor those names, please join me in a moment of silence for a minute. Thank you. Now, before we go on, I want to call on Vince back up to the stage, so to speak, who will say a few words. And also wonder, Vince, if you could use this moment to also contextualize Nursing Home Lives Matter and why it got started.
Yes, I started Nursing Home Lives Matter a few years ago now, and it was in response to how I seen the healthcare system handling people in nursing homes during COVID-19, and not only realizing that it was the same thing happening in nursing homes all over the country. I feel like that something needed to happen to bring everyone together from nursing homes all over the country, families of residents of nursing homes all over the country, and talk about it and make action so it never happens again. And to re-honor human who has been a long time advocate for people with disabilities living in wheelchairs. Let me say another quote about her, another quote of hers. She said, "I want to see feisty disabled people change the world." And I stand with you, Judith, and I will continue to carry that torch. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you so much. Now we will move on to the portion of the evening where we're going to hear from residents of nursing care facilities and members of the community. So we're going to start with known as the Goddess on Wheels, Maria Palacios has been a force on the Sins Invalid stage since 2007. Through the power of her words, Maria captures the love, pain, and survival of disabled people. Maria is a poet, author, and performer whose story as a brown immigrant disabled woman echoes the resilience of CRIP survival. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, whose organization put disability justice on the map. I give you the goddess herself, Maria Palacios of Sins Invalid. Maria.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor to join you all tonight, even though it is in this sad circumstances of remembrance and mourning. Unfortunately, I don't have capacity to have my camera on, but I am a Latina, indigenous woman with dark hair and brown eyes. I do have a picture up there. Oh, my beloved friends, we gather here today to honor, to name, to mourn disabled lives that were lost, disabled lives that were discarded, disabled people who were murdered or left to die, disabled people who were denied the right to live. And it is hard to believe and painful to realize how the world justifies letting us die like this. We must not die like this anymore. Disabled lives, like all lives, are a gift of love, a gift of life. Seeds able to sprout dreams and flourish into greatness. The same greatness all humanity is capable of. That's what disabled lives are made of. That's the kind of gift we are. But the gift of our disabled lives, our different bodies and minds, our non-conforming body minds, are not seen as a gift. We are feared and rejected. We are unwanted and eliminated, sometimes even before birth. Return to sender, written in blood. Our gift returned unopened and unwrapped, or badly broken in the attempts to fix what they thought was broken. But you are not broken, my precious ones. We are not broken. Our lives are not broken. Our lives are worth living. Our lives are worth saving. We deserve the chance to survive. And to survive, we must remind ourselves of that every chance we get. Ableism will want us to deny our worth, because doing so makes it easier to justify killing us or letting us die. Society wants us to die, and they assume that we will when the seed of our lives is tossed on arid terrain and we're unable to sustain the things we need to survive in a world that wants us dead. Make no mistake, society really believes disabled lives are a mistake, and we are one mistake they must fix by normalizing us or getting rid of us, dead or alive, as long as we become invisible. Making us invisible is another way of killing us. That's why it is so important to come together as one and let our strengths grow and become part of the force that sustains us as disabled people. In a world that wants us dead, loving each other and loving ourselves is how we stay alive. Our survival saves other disabled people's lives because they're able to see themselves in us, in our own stories of endurance and CRIP love, in the life lessons that go above and beyond what the non-disabled think they know about us and the gift of our disabled lives. Fighting the evils of ableism, healing from the wounds inflicted by the fear and hatred toward disabled people is something disabled people do every day of our lives. Every single day we must slay monsters of oppression just to stay alive. The right to simply exist is something the non-disabled really take for granted. That's why today we pour love over the pain and the loss and the names of those whose disabled lives, whose seed of life didn't get a chance to sprout dreams or get to flourish in community with other Crips, with disabled people who would have reminded them of their own worth and their own beauty. Today, we mourn the loss of their dreams. Dreams we didn't get to know, and yet we get to bring to life through our love for other disabled people and all the disabled people we continue to save through the vein of our survival. We must be there for each other. We need each other. We are each other's lifeline. The lives we honor today will not be lost in vain. Their unjust deaths will be embedded in the advocacy of our Crip survival. We know the responsibility of living while knowing others like us no longer are. That's why today we honor you. We name you. We promise to never forget and to keep fighting, to not let other disabled people die the way you. Rest in peace, beloved ones. Rest in peace.
Wow, come on, y'all. Show some love for
Oh,
Maria. That
yeah.
was incredible.
That was wonderful.
Thank you so much, Maria. That was so powerful. I'll definitely be carrying that with me for a while. So now we'll be moving on to the action and dedication portion of our evening. Please join me in welcoming my dear friend, Shannon Nelson, the first woman to join the Open Doors reality poet. Shannon was a dental assistant before a swimming pool accident that left her paralyzed. She's been quadriplegic for 27 years and identifies as a wheelchair warrior, disability rights advocate, social justice activist, and animal lover. She leads the Open Doors Instagram series called The Movement, which spotlights past and present events and different rights movement that deserve more attention. Without further ado, Shannon, the floor is yours. Welcome, Shannon.
Hey, thanks everybody. My name is Shannon Nelson, and I am a white woman with blue eyes with a purple top, blonde hair. And I have a short poem called Remember. And it goes, remember, we should never be rid of COVID because all of us have lost somebody in the pandemic. We will not let our loved ones die in vain, and we shall not forget our family and friends that still reside in nursing homes. So let's honor those lives we lost to COVID, that we celebrate those lives with a memory that makes you laugh or smile. And we should remember nursing homes lives back. Thanks.
Thank you, Shannon. Let's hear it for Shannon, y'all. Give Shannon some
Yes.
love. Thank you, Shannon. Amazing.
Thanks.
Now, please join me in welcoming back to the stage my friend Elle. Elle was born and raised in Fort Greene and spent his childhood between Brooklyn and the Bronx with his parents and siblings with whom he is very close. In a case of mistaken identity, Elle was shot in a drive-by shooting in 2012 that left him paralyzed from the waist down. Today, Elle is a core member of the Open Doors design team, using bold graphics to creatively inspire and uplift communities. Chances are that you've seen some of his posters and invitations in the past. So welcome back, my dear friend and colleague, Elle.
How's everybody? Once again, I'm El. Tonight I have a poem called Dedicated Love, Dedicated Action. I'm talking dedicated love and dedicated action. Whatever happened to the dedicated love? Whatever happened to the dedicated action? That dedicated love that wake you up in the morning. That dedicated action, like your heartbeat, second after second, blood flows as it pumps. Dedicated love is a nurse's care. Dedicated action is today, all of us in present time, we are here. Dedicated love is them family members that stood nearby that hospital bed and had to shed a tear. Dedicated action was them first responders rushing to save lives, hoping there was no fear. Dedicated love is the kindness and the care this world needs. Dedicated action is how we was able to achieve, able to breathe once more again. Dedicated love for the ones we lost who will never be forgotten. Dedicated action, open doors, reality poets, along with the Roosevelt Island community. Yes, we did, stood together. Dedicated love is what all nursing homes need. Dedicated action is the response we need to make sure the proper care is all to all. Dedicated love, dedicated action. Nursing home lives matter. Thank you.
Wow. Give it up. Thank you,
Wow.
Elle.
Awesome.
It's a beautiful reminder that love is a verb, right? It's not just a feeling, it's an action. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elle. It was really powerful. Now I'd like to invite my dear friend, Teresa Williams, up to the stage. Teresa joined Open Doors in December of 21. She grew up in Ghana. When Teresa was a teenager, she moved to Washington, D.C. and later Queens. In 2003, an illness left her unable to walk. She became an advocate for herself and her friends. She is passionate about disability justice, writing poetry, reading nonfiction books, and loves to volunteer. Please join me in welcoming my dear friend, Teresa Williams. Teresa.
I think Teresa knows the experiencing some stuff.
Hello, everyone. My name is Teresa. I'm a skinny Black girl, and I have a mohawk with the side braids, and I have a green long sleeve shirt. I read my poetry, Dedicated Love. When I look around me, I see the love that motivates me. When I look around me, I feel the compassion that guides me. When I look around me, I hear the whispers of hope that surrounds me. All I see around me is love, a kind of love that is dedicated. It is this dedicated love that leads me to dedicated action. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful, Teresa. Good to see you, Teresa. Thank
Beautiful.
you so much. Now let's give a warm welcome to the one and only Francine Benjamin. Francine came to the US in 2004 from Antigua and Barbuda. After a fall that resulted in a back injury, Francine found out she also needed neck surgery and multiple medical procedures that have left her with limited mobility. She's passionate about disability justice and often includes what she's learned about the movement in her work. Her poetry has appeared in Wheeling and Healing, a poetry anthology edited by Open Doors Reality Poets. She has an infectious smile and laughter who brightens every room she steps into, as you're gonna find out. Please welcome Francine Benjamin.
Thank you, Dex. Hi, everyone. I'm Francine Benjamin. I'm a beautiful Black woman with bald head, a gray pants, and a gray and black sweater. And they know I'm a lady of few words. So here goes. Dedicated love, dedicated action. Dedication means committed to a task or a purpose. Love is an action word, not just word of mouth. It should come from deep within the soul. D, decision, devotion. E, equip, efficiency. D, decency. I, intention. C, committed to work hard. A, action, attention. T, time. E, emotion. Effort. D, determine. L, leadership. O, overcome. V, vision. And E, endless. That's dedication. United we stand, divided we fall. Thank you.
Woo!
Snaps, snaps, snaps.
Snap, snap. Let's give it up for Francine. Thank you, Francine. Amazing, beautiful. Great to see you. Now we're going to move on to the portion we're going to hear from community members and allies in the community. Our success would not be possible without the work of community. So I would like to bring up some community members who've been stalwart allies with us throughout our journey. Our first speaker is our most important partner in building a new future, not only for life at Kohler, but in creating a new model for life in all nursing homes. Welcome, Stephen Catullo, Chief Executive of New York City Health and Hospitals Kohler. Thank you, Mr. Catullo, for being a vital part of the positive changes we've all been working to create at Kohler. Mr. Catullo.
Good evening. As mentioned, I am Stephen Catullo, Kohler's administrator. For my physical description, I am a 59-year-old white male with a shaved head, a full trim salt and pepper beard, and I am wearing a gray suit, white shirt, and orange tie this evening. I wish to thank Open Doors for giving me the opportunity to speak at this evening's vigil. Having been Kohler's CEO for just the past 13 months, I was not here during the first several waves of COVID-19. However, as the previous deputy executive director at a nursing home in Brooklyn, New York, I experienced firsthand the devastating physical and mental health impact COVID-19 had on residents, family members, and staff. The pandemic infection prevention and control strategies implemented helped keep us safe, helped keep us alive. And while isolating residents in their room was necessary for COVID-19 safety, especially during the early days of the pandemic, there were many unintended consequences. During the pandemic, many residents faced a silent threat from the virus, including social isolation, loneliness, depression, anxiety, worsening dementia, and failure to thrive. As the pandemic not only continued, but also surged, nursing homes faced a real dilemma. Should they ban visitors and group activities to protect their residents, or should they relax restrictions to lessen social isolation's mental and physical harms? Nursing homes had to become creative with communal activities and outdoor family visits while emphasizing the use of personal protective equipment and social distancing. This common sense approach to balancing the need to protect residents from the spread of COVID-19 with allowing families and other support persons back into the facilities to provide needed support to residents was difficult for everyone. This approach, while driven by our dedicated love, compassion, concern, and responsibility for our residents and staff, now needs to be redirected to dedicated action. How do we do this? The answer is still evolving. Will this be easy to do? Not always. We do know that any future measures aimed at preventing the spread of infectious disease must address the mental health deterioration caused by isolation. We do know that we must maintain social connections between residents and their families. We do know that nursing home leaders must ensure timely, transparent, honest communication and education with residents and family members. And we do know that nursing home staff and residents must work together in co-designing strategies that help keep everyone safe while respecting one's autonomy, one's independence, one's humanness. We must strengthen the relationship between nursing home staff and residents in order to build a strong, enduring partnership that thrives all the time and not just during a crisis. In closing, I wish to share with you a poem that I believe captures the need for all of us to dedicate ourselves to taking action, action based out of love. It is entitled Alone in Quarantine, and it was written by Susanna Galsadorfer. I miss touch. I miss touch, not the touch of today's spring wind, sure and strong off the ocean, sending bird flight careening, hurrying through grass all rushed and flushed in silver, whipping hair upward like flames in a brush fire. Not that kind of touch. I miss the way a hand can open to another, fingers soft like a wing gently unfolding, palm cushioned and warm, its heartline shaped in the womb. How a hand can tenderly send a gesture, a caress, a comfort, across separation to join in oneness, if only as a handshake.
Hmm.
Thank you. May those who we lost to COVID-19 be at peace.
Thank you, Mr. Gattulo. Thank you for those words. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your willingness to meet us and work with us. So thank you so much. Our next speaker is a role model for resident advocates everywhere. Jeanette Sullivan Martinez is the President Emeritus of the Connecticut Coalition of Resident Council Presidents, the resident representative on the Moving Forward Coalition Steering Committee, and has been a resident of the Pendleton Health and Rehabilitation Center in Connecticut since 2008. Please give a warm welcome to Jeanette Sullivan Martinez. Jeanette.
Hello, everyone. I am a white female with gray curly hair, blue eyes, blue glasses, silver and turquoise earrings, white top, and a multicolored scarf. And I'd like to start by saying thank you to the folks at Open Doors for inviting me to come and participate in your annual vigil. I hope this is not my first year I get the invitation. My name is Jeanette Sullivan Martinez, and I am a long-term resident living in a nursing home in Mystic, Connecticut. The COVID pandemic changed people's lives forever. People lost family, friends, coworkers, neighbors. It has become quite devastating to our entire world. Personally, I look at life as if the glass is half full and not half empty. As devastating as the pandemic was and is continuing to be, the positive side is that it finally put a spotlight on the needs of those living in nursing facilities. The disabled and the elderly have suffered with a lack of staffing. Now that we are truly aware of how great an issue this is, we can address this change. How? With gatherings just like this, supporting one another, encouraging one another. My heart is very saddened by all of the wonderful people that we have lost due to this pandemic, those known and those unknown to me. I so deeply cherish my family and friends, as I'm sure all of you that are attending today do as well. This event reminds us to hug and hold close those that we love dearly. Let's remember and celebrate those that we have lost. Their lives have meaning, and we need to honor them. I'd like to close with a version of the Lord's Prayer. Its translation is directly from the Aramaic to English, rather than the Aramaic to Greek to Latin to English. And it goes like this: O cosmic birther of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our being and carve out a space within us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear the fruit of your mission. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with our desire. Endow us with the wisdom to produce and share what each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled threads of destiny that bind us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not let us be seduced by that which would divert us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of the present moment. For you are the ground and the fruitful vision, the birth power and fulfillment, as all is gathered and made whole once again. God bless all of you in attendance today, but also thank you for the opportunity to remember those that we've lost and how sad it is. Let us celebrate them.
Thank you, Jeanette. That was beautiful. And I have a feeling this is the first, but not the last. So thank you so much for joining us.
My
And
pleasure.
all right, so moving on. Here at Kohler, we are proud constituents of Representative Rebecca Seawright. Not only has the honorable representative and her office been there as a political voice advocating for our needs during COVID, but also a powerful disability justice voice, as Ms. Seawright was recently named Chair of People with Disabilities Standing Committee. While Representative Seawright is unable to make our vigil tonight, we're excited to present her Chief of Staff, Courtney Ferrisay, to say a few words on her behalf.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My pronouns are she, her, and my visual description. I'm a white female with brown hair in a bun and a black sweater, zooming to you from my desk at our district office on York Avenue in Manhattan. As stated, I'm Assemblymember Seawright's Chief of Staff, and she's unable to be here as she's conferencing our state budget as the newly appointed chair of the People with Disabilities Committee. So I'm sharing these remarks on her behalf. I'm proud to be part of this coalition of patients, their families, and community because nursing home lives matter. We trust nursing homes and long-term care facilities to take care of our loved ones for their treatment and care. That trust was violated during the pandemic. The unthinkable occurred. COVID positive patients were transferred to Kohler Hospital. We held a town hall and demanded the creation of a Kohler task force with the Office of Manhattan Borough President. We commend the tremendous work of Open Doors, Vince, Peter, Fanny, Julia, Lynn, and Shannon. It's been a pleasure to work with you and the Kohler task force, and of course, Russell Squire. We continue to press for improved quality of life at Kohler. And we continue to be vigilant to protect the people who call Kohler home. In the Assembly, we supported the passage and signing of the Assembly legislation to repeal Article 30D of the Public Health Law to hold facilities and their administrators accountable for harm to patients and residents, and the Compassionate Caregiver Bill to authorize the Department of Health to allow visitation and care by family or caregivers in nursing homes. These are small victories in the devastation that would not have been possible without the Kohler community represented here today. We will never forget that nursing home lives matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Courtney Ferrisay, and please send our gratitude to Representative Seawright. Moving on, during COVID, Gail Brewer and the Manhattan Borough Board were powerful allies in getting our voices heard. Today, we welcome Keisha Sutton James, Deputy Borough President, as we come together to rededicate to positive change. Please join me in welcoming. Welcome.
Thank you. I want to thank several people I see on the screen. I'll start with Vincent Pierce and Peter Yearwood for your leadership and helping to remind all of us that nursing home lives really matter, especially at Kohler Hospital. To Resident Association President Francine Benjamin. Oh, excuse me, let me back up and say I am a Black woman who, like Francine Benjamin, has a smile that lights up the room. I've got brownish hair that is brownish curly hair that is growing out. So you got black and gray in there as well, and a yellow sweater and gold jewelry on. But so back to thanking Francine Benjamin and Maria Palacio also for your leadership and also for your powerful words tonight. There were so many powerful words tonight. Thank you to Russell Squire of Community Board 8 for leading the task force that Courtney mentioned, and obviously for the partnership that happened between this office under Gail Brewer with Rebecca Seawright's office and the task force led by Russell. And finally, I want to thank and congratulate new CEO Stephen Catullo. But thank you for being present and in solidarity with the residents tonight, and also for your brilliantly heartwarming words tonight. I want to say on a personal level, I My father is disabled. He fell down in 2014, fell down a flight of stairs and has been paralyzed from the waist, from the midsection down since then. Between that and between his care, he spent a couple of years in hospitals and nursing homes. Between that and other elder care for my grandparents, I've spent a lot of time in nursing homes and learned on a personal level how isolating it can be, how important it is that family is there with family members, not only to keep them company and sane, but also to ensure oftentimes that they get the care that they deserve. And so as we move through the pandemic, which we all know that at the height of pandemic, with 9,000 COVID patients that were being sent to nursing homes and untold New Yorkers that were infected, many of whom unnecessarily infected. In fact, the Tish James, I remember coming out with a report saying that perhaps we may have undercounted by as much as 50%, is hit home particularly hard. We've had more than 15,000 New York nursing home patients who died of COVID since the pandemic started. And to say the obvious, you are not disposable. Nursing home lives matter. So do the lives of the staff members, and that's why it's critically important that that nursing home staff members are paid appropriately, that they earn a living wage, that they are treated with the respect and dignity that they deserve, so they can come to work every day and make your home feel like it's a home and not a prison. And that so that each of you can get the quality care that each of you deserve. We don't need them to be burnt out. So I will say just in closing that I really enjoyed the poems around dedicated love and dedicated action. So as many people, starting with Elle, said, above all, we need dedicated love and dedicated action in our nursing homes. And we are fully supportive here in the borough president's office. The borough president is now Mark Levine. I thank former borough president Gail Brewer so much for her work and leadership in so many spaces, including this space when she was the VP for New York. But on behalf of borough president Mark Levine, I too hope that this will not be my last time that I'm invited here to lift up all the lives lost through the pandemic and otherwise, because nursing home lives matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Keisha Sutton James. Thank you so much for being here. Please send our gratitude. Yes, Gail Brewer was such an amazing ally with us, and we hope to continue to work with Mark Levine. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing some words. Appreciate it. All right, so one of the biggest ways that our Roosevelt Island community stood by us was in the creation of the Kohler Task Force, a first ever collaboration between nursing home residents, facility administration, advocates, local politicians, and community members. Alita Camp and Russell Squire have been instrumental as the former and current chairs of the Kohler Task Force. Thank you so much to Russell, chair of the Kohler Task Force and Community Board 8 for being here today. I'd like to invite Russell Squire to speak. Russell.
Thank you very much. So I am a white man, pronouns he, him. I have shortish dark brown hair, clean shaven. I'm wearing a dark suit, black and silver checkered tie, blue and green striped button-down shirt. It is an honor to be here and to be included in this event. I'm the chair of Community Board 8 Manhattan, also the chair of the Kohler Task Force, which I have led since the beginning of 2021, and I took it over from my predecessor, Alita Camp. The task force, as many of you know, was formed in the summer of 2020 due to the courage and advocacy of residents of Kohler and allies in the community. And it is comprised of those residents and allies, and also representatives of elected officials and members of the local community board. And it's really great to see so many current and former members of the task force on the vigil here tonight, and folks who have attended our meetings in the past. And I want to just acknowledge all of you. So Miko Cook and Courtney Pharisee from Assemblymember Seawright's office, Francine Benjamin, Dexter, Jane Swanson, Jenny Lee Brewster, Julie Ferguson, Mina White from Borough President Mark Levine's office, Nicole Jack, Peter Yearwood, Vince Pierce, Shannon Nelson, and of course, we're always also very glad to be joined by Stephen Catullo. Coming to the task force to hear from us is very much appreciated. And I do also want to acknowledge Gail Brewer, who's no longer the borough president, but was a great partner when she was. So when the task force was formed because Kohler and its residents are an integral part of the community of Roosevelt Island and of the East Side. And we could not sit by in the face of the deaths that were taking place and the conditions that the residents were enduring. And we knew that something had to be done. And so we have worked meeting after meeting, month after month, year after year to try to improve things for residents of Kohler. We were primarily focused on problems created by the pandemic, but more recently we've been trying to address other issues as well. And we have always been guided first and foremost by the residents and their experiences and their needs and their goals, and have been proud to work alongside them. So I am here tonight, as we all are, to mourn and remember those residents of Kohler who were lost during the pandemic. I have been here tonight to listen and to learn from all of the speakers and all of the poets. I am here to express the love and support of the rest of the community for our neighbors at Kohler. I am here to commit that we, in the community board and on the task force, we will be with you. We will work with you. We will fight alongside you. And I am here to affirm over and over, as long as it takes, that nursing home lives matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Russell. Thank you for all the work that you've been doing and they continue to do. Thank you for standing with us in solidarity. Thank you for being here. Now, please join me in welcoming my dear friend, Peter Yearwood. Peter, having contracted polio as an infant in Belize, has lived with this disability all his life. Peter has been a resident of Kohler since 2015, where he met his Open Doors family, aka the Reality Poets. Peter is a member and manager of the group and has led poetry workshops for youth and people with disabilities. Pete is also an associate impact producer on the forthcoming documentary film, Fire Through Dry Glass. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Peter Yearwood.
Thank you, Dexter. My name is Peter Yearwood. I use he, him pronouns. I am a brown-skinned Black man with short salt and pepper hair, mustache. I'm a wheelchair user. I'm also wearing a burgundy champion hoodie. And I also want to acknowledge the land that we're the unceded land of the Munster Lenape, Wappinger, and Canarsie people, better known as Roosevelt Island or Manhattan. I would like to thank them, the elders and the young, for allowing us together today to memorialize our friends and families lost to this disease. At this time, I would like to send a shout out to all the Roosevelt Island residents. I want to thank you all for being here this evening. And I want to send a special shout out to our friends and neighbors also, all over the city and country. I want to thank you for not only being here, but for being there when we thought no one cared. You showed up that cold winter's night for the first vigil, and only a few of us were able to attend. But this year and moving forward, we hope everyone who wants to can join. Other organizations or nursing homes or other nursing home residents are welcome. There were times when many of us at Kohler thought that we weren't welcomed in this community. Well, we couldn't have been more wrong. It's one thing when you're welcomed in a community, but when you're accepted in a community, you could truly call it your community. When your problems become their problems and vice versa. They showed up for us like families show up for each other. They showed up with donations of PPEs, food, or anything else they thought we might need. One of our members broke down in tears while watching a support video made by a very close friend of ours, Mrs. Lawrence Blankstein. He solemnly said these words with tears flowing. I thought no one cared. And many of us felt the same way. The Roosevelt Island community was so instrumental in getting attention to the terrible situation we were in. So today I want to say on behalf of myself and the entire Kohler community, say from the top of my heart, the bottom of my heart, the sides of my heart, oh, forget it, my whole heart, thank you for saving many lives with the generous donations of your time and your voice. It was only because of these actions that you took that kept us strong and gave us the will to keep moving forward. Speaking for those who couldn't speak for themselves. We will keep on finding ways and more people to help make sure that this never happens again, here or anywhere else. Because all nursing home lives matter.
Right.
I personally have learned the true meaning of community. It is a powerful word when used the way it was meant to be used, and even more powerful when put into action. I also want to thank everyone at the task force. They were so instrumental in bringing accountability to Kohler. I want to thank past chair Alida Camp, present chair Russell Squire, Rebecca Seawright, Congresswoman Maloney, and President Congressman Ralph Nader and HSC for their participation in sending representatives from their office. This task force cares about what happens at Kohler. They take no shortcuts, addressing every issue inside of Kohler. We hope this continues well into the future so that other residents who come after us can have a place to have their concerns voiced and the people in power are held accountable. I have a short little poem I want to read for you guys. I watched it on the news, heard it from people, still didn't believe it. I used to go and sit outside. It was eerily quiet, no one in the streets. The FDR was unbelievable void of traffic. Not even the sparrows were singing. I felt like I was in a Hollywood movie titled Last Man on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I knew this was real when I saw the bodies coming off the elevator. When I got sick, this was my motivator. No one cared about our lives, putting us in a life-threatening situation. In a previous poem, I told you your death would not be in vain. This will never happen again. Because of your passing, a new light is shining. For as long as I have life, I will keep on advocating. I will never sit quietly and see a wrong being done, no matter who's carrying out that wrong. This is why there are rights. I will keep pushing to make those wrongs right. Nursing home lives have never mattered. People are put in these places and forgotten by those that are supposed to make sure that they get quality care, and even by families. This is my mission, my vision, to do as much as I can to make sure the powers that be know nursing home lives matter. Every conversation about nursing home is about the relevancy of nursing home lives. For too long, nursing home has been a commodity rather than looked at as a community. Profit over people has always been the motto. We're the Davids and you're the Goliaths, but we know how that story ends. We don't have to fight each other. Let's put our voices and resources together so we help our families and friends. Thank you.
Beautiful, Peter. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Peter, for being a model of what community looks like. I feel like you come with kindness and love, and it really resonates. So thank you so much. So moving on, when COVID hit and Kohler went into lockdown, it was a scramble to find help. Unfortunately, nursing homes are often viewed as separate from the community, even though they are a thriving source of life and connection, but not on Roosevelt Island. Julia Ferguson, a Roosevelt Island community member, is the type of neighbor every nursing home resident deserves. She has stood by us, fought for us, and organized for us, and together with the other amazing residents of this island are what dedicated love, dedicated action looks like. Please join me in welcoming Julia Ferguson. Julia?
Thank you, Dexter. My name is Julia Ferguson. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a middle-aged white woman with short brown hair, blue eyes, and glasses, and I'm wearing a navy blue shirt and jacket with a tree plant behind me in the background. I really do represent a lot of people who are neighbors to nursing homes. And I represent someone, I'm a middle school teacher. So when you guys, I have to tell you that when you say verb, a verb is a physical action, and think about that in 3 dimensions like you're in middle school. It's a mental action, and it is also a state of being. Another thing about the love, when you say love, all I can say is the last 6 or 7 years of getting, I'll tell you about it, but love is very 3-dimensional and 2 ways. So living on Roosevelt Island since 1994, my family and I have always been grateful for our neighbors from Goldwater and Kohler. Many were wheelchair users, and my kids grew up in their presence like breathing. Neighbors zooming by their playgrounds and greeting us near the deli. But we never really knew folks personally. So about 7 years ago, I met someone who lives in Kohler, and because of our shared love of plants, we soon became friends. And this connection helped bring about some service projects with Kohler and with and for Kohler, and the meeting of more people who live and work there. On an amazing day in 2018, we got to help with garden renovations in the central courtyard of this beautiful place. And we were literally digging in the dirt together and planting beauty that still is there today. So suddenly Kohler was becoming a place and people who had been special in my mind, in our lives, but distant. And it began to represent real folks and beginning friendships. Then in 2019, working on a grant project on the island called Engaged RI, I realized that for me, love and home are all woven together with the land, the water, and the people. It's important that we do speak about the Lenape. This was their homelands before. So there's this magical geography of both people and place that holds our Roosevelt Island community. And I started feeling something really deep in my bones. I started feeling like, personally, I don't want to live on a Roosevelt Island. I do want to live on a Roosevelt Island, but I want to live on a Roosevelt Island that includes all of the island, that has the north with Kohler, the south with Cornell Tech, and all that is in between. We live in a community bookended by both Kohler and Cornell Tech, and I want that to be ongoing. I don't want to think of any other kind of future. So during the pandemic, we found ourselves staring out our windows at this dear land we call Roosevelt Island, and we were hearing very bad news. So once again, it was an invitation from a neighbor. It wasn't me. It was an invitation. Every time something happens, it's like an invitation from a friend or a neighbor. And we created a temporary network to support the people who live and work in Kohler Health and Hospitals. And we stood with longstanding groups and tried to support everyone affiliated with Kohler. We sought to ensure Kohler's residents' presence here for years to come by celebrating their meaningful contributions to Roosevelt Island as our neighbors, because we were no longer seeing them, and we've been used to seeing them. In this role of this temporary network, I got to see this love. Like, we would send out Facebook posts and ask for masks. I saw all these people responding. So when I represent a neighbor for here on Roosevelt Island, I also represent that for other nursing homes and your neighbors. So we advocated for safer medical practices, improved health equity, and the practice, a big thing learned was the practice of listening to both residents and staff. And during those years, I met many more people by Zoom, by phone, by text, so many I can't name. The diversity and solidarity of those encounters brought me even deeper understanding. So then in July of 2020, we were online together at the first Kohler, or the Kohler Town Hall, when Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer and Vincent Pierce spoke up so very clearly. And Gail Brewer emphasized that Kohler needs to be maintained into the future, and Vince reminded us very eloquently to listen to the lived experiences of others. And this is a lesson we've been learning these past years over and over again. Then, thanks to this network, in February of 2021, we held a walk and wave event for Valentine's Day, and Roosevelt Island residents came out in the snow to walk around and completely encircle Kohler. People I didn't know, families came out, all kinds of people. And we wanted our neighbors to hear us say, "We love Kohler," which we yelled as we walked around the building. We love Kohler. In February of 2022, a year later, all I did was send 3 emails, and all kinds of children from programs all over Roosevelt Island sent the same messages to residents on cards. And they wrote, "We love Kohler." And they wrote, "Kohler, Roosevelt Island, stronger together." So during this time, as we met in groups with many of the people here on this call, we dreamed of a future that is beginning now. There's a long way to go. But we dreamed of things like weaving projects, films, art, movement, education, filling our Instagram moments, because those are very meaningful for us. We dreamed of photos and classes and continued gardening and open invitations to spend time together, things that are happening now, talking of music, talking of art. So I just have to say that, like so many others, I just represent many others. Some of those people are like with their kids, putting them to bed right now. They can't be on this call, or they're waving at you, or they're not saying anything. I didn't say anything for 20 years. But they care deeply. And we hold a very careful love of our life here with Kohler. And that would be with other nursing homes. With Kohler, the residents, the staff, the place, the campus. It's an established and cherished campus that is one of the bookends of our island. So with all of our ongoing support, Kohler and other nursing homes can become real fine examples of the best in public health care for long-term needs. There is something special about Kohler, though. Kohler has been established, its residents, its staff, and it's a living history. It's always changing. And this nursing care center was designed as a home for those with perhaps less monetary wealth, but with very uncountable worth, as we have said so many times tonight. So let's continue to connect with hello, reach out with questions, listen to each other, invite each other, work together, and relax together. So love is a verb, and nursing home lives matter. Thank you so much.
Woo. Beautifully said, Julia. Come on, let's give it up for Julia, our dear friend. And as we're nearing the end, thank you so much, Julia. Thank you everyone for showing up, for bearing witness, for lending your voice, for doing the work of community, for demanding better of ourselves and our neighbors, for not settling for the status quo, and for insisting on dedicated love and dedicated action. I can't tell you how grateful I am that everyone's come here tonight. This is what community looks like. You know, I think the way to show up looks different for all of us, right? And we can't do any of this alone. It can show up by, you know, screaming "I love you" colder to the. It can look like joining a task force. It can look like coming here tonight. It can look like signing a petition. It can look like making a new friend. So I thank you all for being here and for doing the work of community.
Can I say one thing, please?
Sure.
My name is Lionel DeCure, and I want to thank each of you for giving me the opportunity to be here tonight. I've known about Nursing Home Lives Matter for quite some time, but it was just another advocacy group. Now it means so much more to me. I think I was guided, I believe I was guided to this Zoom tonight for a reason. And it's great to see such a diverse group and everything. We have chapters in every state in Dignity for the Age. Facebook group, you can just put Dignity for the Age, like Texas or New Mexico or whatever, and their chapters, they're not all active. But I just had to speak out and thank y'all for your diversity. There's one young man that I would sure like to get active in your group that's a friend of mine, Jeremiah Manson, who has no legs, a use of only one arm, and his back is fused together. And he's so lonely because he has no one to visit with him or anything. But y'all have, if y'all will join some of the chapters, y'all have so much to offer the individuals in that group. And one last thing, Scott Sheriff, who is Grace's dad, who had a daughter that died in a hospital that had COVID. He has a great site, and I know he would like to interview some of y'all, and I can make that possible. But once again, thank you. I'm an old white man that's 83 years of age. I've been doing working for in regards to nursing homes, the individuals in there, and also the great staff in there for the past 12 years because my wife was in one. But thank each of you, and thank each of you for your diversity and your love. I'm sorry to interrupt y'all and get off the program, but thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you so much, Lionel. Thank you for sharing. And this is what it looks like, right? We just made a connection. Please share your contact in the chat. We would love to be in touch and connect.
Let me give you my email. My eyesight is bad and I can't get into the chat, but my email
Alex, can you read it?
Is LIONELDECUR@gmail.com. There's no I in my email.
Great.
In the last name. And God bless each one of y'all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lionel. Yeah, so thank you again, everyone. Who would know it that we're actually ahead of schedule? Look at that. This is the work. This is shout out to the planners behind the scenes who had an amazing timeline and kept us on track. To share a few closing words, I want to invite back up Imam Russell, excuse me, to say some parting words. Imam Russell.
Yes, I just want to close with a short prayer. First, we pray to Allah, we pray to the Most High to grant paradise to all of our fallen, forgive them of their shortcomings, and to pass upon us all His mercy and grace. We ask for His continuous light and direction during these troublesome times. Ask for our leadership to be firm but compassionate, and the flock to be outspoken but understanding, the voice of the silent to be heard, and may their message fall upon every heart. And with that, I say thanks for having me, and may Allah and the creator of the heavens and earth and all that is in between continue to shower upon us His blessings and His grace.
Thank you, Imam Rasul. Thank you. And I'll call on Vince to just say some last words.
Yeah, I would like to thank everyone for coming out, for your continuous support. There's some links in the chat where you can practice dedicated love, dedicated action. Be sure to sign up on our website, opendoorsnyc.org, to keep up with everything we have. Coming up in April is our artist salon hosted by Tom Hoyer, another Roosevelt Island community member that's been with us since day one. This will be a conversation about film with reality poet and Kohler nursing home resident and filmmaker Andres Molina and documentary filmmaker Alexi Neo-Fortes. You can check it out on our site. You can check it out on firetodrygrass.com. We will be leaving the space open for a bit if you want to hang around and chat. Thank you again for coming. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Big applause to everyone tonight. Thank you for being here. Like Vince said, we'll keep this room open for more sort of casual, informal conversation. Anybody who wants to say hello.
Next, can I just give a parting song?
Of course.
Of course.
Smile a while and give your face a rest. Wave your hands to the ones you love the best. Then shake hands with those nearby and greet them with a smile.
Woo, woo, you go, girl. That was awesome. That was
Francine,
awesome,
that voice.
Francine.
Wow.
Francine, guess what you're doing at the end of every webinar now?
Oh,
Absolutely.
Nico.
I put my vote in for that.
I know you would, Jeanette.
I do. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Can I just express how grateful I am the opportunity to get to know all of you. It's added to my thought, my narrative as a person, my view of life in general. So I really hope that we can keep the contact. I apologize I wasn't able to make Friday, but Fridays is hard because I have the national moving forward stuff on Fridays usually. So, but I am going to try to squeeze in when I can. So we'll definitely be staying in touch.
Absolutely,
Yes.
Jeanette. Thank you for being here, for lending your voice. So wonderful to have you.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed the opportunity very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We love you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Catullo. Thank you for being here.
Thanks,
Thank
thanks, everybody. Good night.
Night.
Take a
Night,
moment
everyone.
to acknowledge